first law of thermodynamics is the law which deals with the quantity of energy, and it is an important tool for audit and bookkeeping of the energy, whereas the second law of thermodynamics deals with the quality of energy and the work, the maximum work that can be obtained out of a given quantity of energy. And this we deal with the concept of availability. Availability is when heat is available from a source, then what we really should know is the amount of energy that can be extracted as useful work, and the rest of the energy that cannot be converted into work has to be discarded as waste heat energy. This work potential of heat is known as availability of the source. Availability of energy drawn from a heat reservoir is defined as the maximum work that can be obtained from the energy. I would like to explain it. Suppose there is a heat source, and from this source certain quantity of heat Q has been extracted. Out of this heat that is being extracted and supplied to a device which is reversible in nature, certain quantity of work has to be done and some heat has to be rejected as per second law of thermodynamics. So, the availability of this heat that has been drawn from a heat source would be the maximum work that can be obtained from this heat, and the quantity of heat that is to be rejected from this out of this total heat is the unavailable energy. This is about the availability of a source. Then availability of a system is the maximum work that can be done by the system when it comes to a dead state. That means, here we have discussed about the heat derived from a source, but if there is a system as shown here, this system gets certain quantity of heat from some source, then what is the maximum work that can be obtained is the availability, and the condition is that this system must come to a dead state. Dead state is the state when the system comes in equilibrium with the surroundings. Suppose there is a system here and the surroundings. System is at a pressure P1, temperature T1, internal energy U1, velocity C1 and so on, and the surroundings are at a pressure PO, temperature TO, internal energy UO and velocity CO. When the system does certain amount of work, the final condition that it must achieve is the same as surroundings, then only the system is said to be on dead state. And when the system comes to dead state, then the work would be maximum, and that work obtained by this amount of energy supplied to the system is the availability of the system. The system will deliver the maximum work as it undergoes a reversible process from the initial state to the dead state. Then we come to the availability of infinite heat source. Just now I have discussed that the availability of a system is when system comes to a dead state, but when we talk of the infinite heat source, the availability, the source, this infinite source will never achieve a dead state, and its temperature, because it is infinite, the temperature would remain constant. Say this is a infinite heat source and this heat source we draw certain quantity of heat Q at temperature T and reject heat Q O and work is being obtained. And this work has to be maximum when this heat is supplied at temperature T O, that is temperature of the heat sink, then only the work would be maximum. If this heat is supplied at a higher temperature, that heat which is rejected at a higher temperature still has some potency to work to produce work, and therefore, to find out the availability of this heat source, this heat must be rejected by this reversible engine at a temperature which is equal to the atmospheric temperature or the dead state, and in that case the work would be maximum, and this maximum work would be equal to availability. The maximum work would be equal to Q into 1 minus T O upon T, and we can write this as Q minus Q into T O upon T, or we can rewrite it as Q minus T O into Q upon T. This Q upon T is change in entropy, and we can write this as Q minus T O into delta S. So, this is the availability of this source, and we can draw a diagram here, the process on T S diagram. So, this is the out of the total heat supplied Q, this is the total heat supplied Q. Out of this, this is the maximum work that can be done, and this part is the unavailable part of the energy which has to be rejected to the environment, and this is unavailable energy is T O delta S, whereas available energy is 1 minus T O upon T 1 into Q. Then this was about the infinite source, and for finite source, the difference between infinite source and finite source is that the temperature of the finite source would be constantly dropping. This is a finite source, a reversible engine and heat rejected. this shows that the temperature of the source is constantly, as the heat is drawn, the temperature is constantly changing from 1 to 2, it is dropping, and as the temperature is dropping, the heat, the work done at a particular instance would be given by the temperature multiplied by the change in entropy at that particular time, as shown here by the hatched area, and the total work that would be available to us would be, if we integrate this this area, and the total work that can be obtained would be given by this blue area, whereas the unavailable energy would be shown, that has been shown by the pink area, and therefore, the maximum work that can be done has been derived as dq minus To into delta S. So, this is the maximum work that can be obtained, and availability of heat drawn from a finite heat source would be given by the expression as it has been derived here. Then the next is the availability loss in heat transfer. When heat flows from a system, from one system to other system at a lower temperature, there is always a loss of availability, and that has been shown here. The loss in availability when heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature has been illustrated here. Suppose we have a system 1 at temperature T1 and system 2 at temperature T2, and certain quantity of heat flows from system 1 to system 2 from temperature T1 to T2. The quantity of heat remains the same. From first law of thermodynamics, there is no loss in energy. Heat from system 1 to heat from system 2, when it flows, the quantity of heat remains the same, but as we see here, the entropy as shown here would be this is the available energy for this heat, the heat drawn from source 1 would be represented by this area, and when it flows to a lower temperature T2, the total available, the total energy Q would be given by this area, and out of this would be the unavailable energy, and that shows that the increase in unavailable energy is shown by this cross hatched area. So, unavailable energy increases because this heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature, and therefore, the available energy decreases as the heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature, and that loss in availability has been shown shown here. The availability here is 1 minus T O by T 1 into Q, availability here is 1 minus T O upon T 2 into Q, and therefore, the loss in availability is Q into T O by T 2 minus T O by T 1, and therefore, the heat must be used at the highest possible temperature to have the maximum availability, and the temperature should not be allowed to drop to be thermodynamically efficient. Now, this was about the availability of source. Then we come to availability of a system. Suppose there is a system consisting of a cylinder and a piston. The working fluid in this system is at pressure P 1, volume V 1 and temperature T 1. The outside environmental temperatures, pressures and volumes would be P O and T O. This system being at a particular level, it has got certain availability. The working fluid in this system has certain availability, and it would do certain amount of work, and from second law of thermodynamics certain quantity of heat has to be rejected by the system, so that work can be done. Other, if heat is not rejected, it would violate the second law of thermodynamics, and work done by the system would be equal to this heat is rejected. Now, we want to find out the maximum work, and therefore, this heat that is being rejected at temperature T 1 has got certain potency, and this heat must be extracted. The potency of this heat has to be extracted, and therefore, we will have to use a reversible device D, which will extract the remaining work that can be done by this heat Q, and that is the work of engine, and the heat has to be rejected Q O at temperature T O, so that it comes to dead state, and when the piston moves out, it has to do some work against the pressure that is working here. The piston is moving on this side, and this piston has to move has to do work against this pressure P O, and therefore, some of the work that is being done by the piston will be consumed to overcome the pressure, atmospheric pressure. The availability of this system is defined as the maximum useful work that can be obtained in a process in which system comes to equilibrium with its surrounding, that is at the dead state. Now, to find out the availability, we have to find out maximum work, and that maximum work would be equal to work of fluid plus work done by the engine as shown here, and the useful work would be work of fluid plus work of engine minus work that has to be done against the pressure for compressing the atmospheric pressure, to overcome the compression of this fluid outside. Now, Q 1 that is going out would be equal to, from first law of thermodynamics, Q 1 will be equal to work of fluid plus change in energy. That is the first law equation. This heat is going out, therefore, it would be negative. This would be equal to work of fluid plus change in internal energy, final internal energy minus the initial internal energy, and therefore, we can write work of fluid is equal to U 1 minus U O minus Q 1. Also the work done by the engine would be equal to the total energy coming in minus the total energy going out, Q1 minus Qo. Qo is equal to To into S1 minus So, that we have already derived, and work of compression here against this atmospheric pressure would be Po into Vo minus V1, P into dV, that is the work of compression, and adding up all the three parameters W fluid, W engine and W compression, we get the maximum useful work. Here we had seen maximum useful work is work of fluid plus work of engine minus work of compression. So, we substitute these three equations. From these three equations we substitute the values here, and we get the maximum useful work as U1 minus Uo minus Q1 plus Q1 minus To into S1 minus So minus Po into Vo minus V1, and rearranging this equation we get finally U1 minus Uo minus To into S1 minus So minus Po into Vo minus V1. Further rearrange this equation in this form, and we call this parameter U1 plus Po V1 minus To S1 as availability function A. So, this is A1 minus Ao, and the total maximum useful work would be equal to A1 minus Ao. This A1 or Ao, they are the composite property of the system and surroundings known as availability function, and this availability function is a composite property of U, V1 and S1, the properties of the system, and Po and So, properties of the environment. So, this is the availability of this is how we can find out the availability of a closed system. This is the availability of closed system, and we can find out what is the maximum work that can be obtained from the system when it comes to dead state with respect to the environment. Similarly, we can find out the availability of steady flow system. As we have found out the availability of a closed system, similarly availability of steady flow system can be found out. Suppose there is a steady flow system as shown here. This system is getting certain fluid at this point, which is at conditions P1, V1 and T1 having enthalpy H1, whereas the energy the mass leaving the system would be Po, Vo, To and at enthalpy Ho, and in doing certain amount of work, heat energy equal to Q is being rejected by the system. As we have done in the closed system, we can write down for the open system also. Fluid enters here at condition 1 and leaves here at condition 0, and in the process it is rejecting certain amount of heat Q, and certain amount of work is being done. This Q that is being rejected to a device also does certain amount of work here, work engine, and rejects heat Qo at temperature To, and this system comes to a dead state. Now, because this comes to 0 position, this also comes to 0 position, and therefore, the total work done would be equal to sum of this and this, that is H1 minus Ho minus Qo into T1 minus To, that has been shown here. So, maximum work that can be done would be given by H1 minus Ho, work done by the system, minus the loss to the atmosphere here, that is To into S1 minus So, and we can rewrite this as B1 minus Bo, where B1 is H1 minus To into S1. This is a composite property of the system and the surroundings, H1 and S1 being the properties of the system and To being property of the surrounding. So, B is a steady flow availability function, a composite property of the system and surroundings, and that is H, S and To. Then we come to second law efficiency of the systems. Suppose we have got two engines as shown here. There is one engine with a heat source of 700 degree Kelvin and a heat sink at 300 Kelvin, and it gets an amount of heat equal to 100 kilojoules. 65 kilojoules is rejected at sink temperature and 35 kilojoules is the amount of work that can be obtained. There is another source at 1200 K and the same sink 300 K. Same amount of heat is being drawn. The work done is 35 kilojoules and heat rejected is the same. What does this show? This shows that both the engines, they draw same amount of heat, do the same amount of work and reject the same amount of heat. That means, the efficiency of the two engines is the same. From first law of thermodynamics, the efficiency of engine 1 is 35%, efficiency of second engine is also 35%. Whereas, from second law, if we analyze, the efficiency would be first law efficiency is 35 and 35, whereas second law efficiency, the Carnot efficiency should have been 57% for the first engine and 75% for the second engine. The Carnot efficiency is defined as for first engine would be 1 minus 300 upon T L by T H 700, and efficiency Carnot for second engine would be 1 minus 300 upon 1200. This should be around 57% and this should be about 75%. So, if the engine 1 is working between these temperature limits, the efficiency we are getting as 35%, whereas the efficiency should have been 57%, and engine 2 it is working at 35% efficiency, whereas if the engine would have been reversible, its efficiency should have been 75%. This particular thing shows that the second engine is not performing to the mark and it is working poorly, because instead of 75 it is giving 35% efficiency, and first engine instead of 57% it is giving 35% efficiency. So, engine 1 is performing better as compared to engine 2, and therefore, engine 2 needs lot of improvements, so that its performance can be improved. So, this shows that the availability or the second law performance is more important as compared to first law performance. First law performance gives a audit of energy, bookkeeping of energy, whereas the second law gives the real value of performance, how nicely it is performing or how badly it is performing, and that is true in all aspects of the life. And we can say that this availability part is very important for day to day working of the person also. There is hardly any aspect of life which does not involve the transformation of energy in different forms. For example, all the fat persons base their lifestyle on the conservation of energy principle. That is, the calorie intake should be less than the calorie consumption. That is the basic principle for loss of weight. A fat person, if he wants to lose weight, has to take calories less than what is required by him, so that the stored fat can be burnt and he can lose weight. All successful people make extensive use of the second law concepts without even realizing it in their lifestyle. Quality of time and energy and orderliness plays an important role in ordinary daily activities. For example, a person working for 20 hours per day and getting 4 hours of sleep performs poorly as compared to a person taking 8 hours of sound sleep at night. This is very clear that a tired man cannot work efficiently as compared to a person who is fresh, and therefore, maybe you are doing lot of hard work, but if you are tired, the output would not be same as that of a fresh man, and that shows that the quality of energy or quality of time is very important, and we must maintain that quality of energy while performing our work, so that the output is the maximum, and maybe a sleep of 8 hours would be better than sleep of 4 hours for doing extra work. A man working for 20 hours would perform less work as compared to a man performing nicely for 16 hours. That is very important, and we must take care of this. This indicates that the problem is not how much time we have, but rather how efficiently we use it. That is the second law point of view. For a person to get more work done in less time is same as a car to go more kilometers on less fuel. That is why, that is what we say, that car must be serviced frequently, so that we get the better performance. A car working on without a service, without maintenance, would perform poorly as compared to car which is being nicely maintained, and the fuel consumption would be less. Same is true in all aspects of life. The availability of a person in daily life can be viewed as the best job the person can do under most favorable conditions. In daily life, a person should do just that to maximize his performance. That is, whatever I can do nicely, I should do that, and that would maximize my work. I can teach thermodynamics in a better way than applied mechanics, and if I want to teach applied mechanics, then the performance would not be as good as that I can perform while teaching thermodynamics. So, we must do the things that we can do in a better way, that would give us a better performance. The schooling and training increases the availability of person, aging decreases the physical availability, and availability of a person is a function of time and goes as waste if it is not utilized at that particular time. This is very clear. The training would improve the performance of a person. Suppose there is a person who is playing cricket, and if he is trained, the training camps are organized for all cricketers before they go for a international match. Why that is necessary? Even Tendulkar or any, for that matter, any good player has to undergo certain training, and that training would help him to give the best out of him. So, training would always increase the availability of a person, and also aging decreases the physical availability. Tendulkar has to retire because of his aging. This is same as the case of mechanical devices. The car gives a better performance when it is new, but as after 10 years the performance of the car would not be same as the performance of the same car as it was 10 years back. So, availability is always a function of time, and it goes as a waste if it is not utilized at that particular time. So, Tendulkar, if he would not have played at the age of 16, if he would have started playing cricket at the age of 36, his performance would have gone as a waste, because it was not utilized at that particular time. The children are born with different levels of availabilities in different areas. Giving aptitude tests to children at an early age is simply an attempt to uncover the extent of their hidden availabilities or talents. The children are then directed to areas in which they have the greatest availability. That is, each and every children has got certain ability, certain talent. A man could be very good at art, he can be a good artist, and if we put that person, a child who is a good artist, to an engineering or medical, he would not be able to perform. And if he is put to the field where he is good, he would be able to perform in a much better way. So, an aptitude has to be tested for children at early age, and that extent of their hidden availability or talent has to be used, and he has to be sent to the same area, and then they are directed in the area where they have the greatest talent and greatest availability. We can view the level of the alertness of a person as his or her availability for intellectual affairs. When a person is well rested, the degree of alertness and thus intellectual availability is at his maximum, and this availability decreases with time as the person gets tired. Required alertness can be viewed as the difference in the available alertness and wasted alertness. This shows that suppose I am at time 0, I am having the maximum alertness, and this alertness goes on decreasing as the time increases, and after 12 hours when I am tired, the alertness would be less. And if I must always plan my activities which required higher alertness during this period, and the activities which need lower alertness should be planned for this particular point of time. That would give us the best performance. Say studies, they need maximum alertness, and I should use this time for my studies. This time I use for sports, and this time I use for watching TV, because minimum alertness is required in watching TV, sports lesser alertness is required, studies the maximum alertness is required. This is the wasted availability. And this is the useful alertness has been fully utilized for all the activities. If I would have kept my activities in a different way, I watch TV during this period, I play sports during this period, and study here where more alertness is required, I will find that the studies, if I do at the night time, I would not be able to perform nicely, because this is the alertness required, whereas the alertness available is only this much. So, I would not be performing nicely in studies, and while I watch TV in the morning, only this much of my alertness or availability is used, and this is wasted. So, the activities must be planned in such a way that the alertness or the availability is fully utilized, then only the performance would be most efficient, and if it is done in a different way, then the performance of that individual would be very poor and lot of loss would be observed, and the performance of that man would be very poor. And same is true for all systems, whether they are mechanical systems, they are thermodynamic systems, or they are the daily life activities. The activities should be planned in such a way that the man is at the best for doing that particular activity at that point of time, and that is most important. So, that has been summed up. In daily life, the first law efficiency of performance of a person can be viewed as the performance relative to effort he puts in, and the second law efficiency of a person can be viewed as the performance of that person relative to the best possible performance under the similar circumstances. And this is how the activities have to be planned for the system or the person, so that the output has to be maximum and the wasteful efforts are at the minimum. That is most important for the efficient working of the system or the system or the person. That is right.